So anyone who's listened to our first in conversation with, all this is exactly what it says. It's just a conversation. Throughout this sort of challenging period, people have had some amazing stories, and I just wanted to really have a chance for us all to share those, and just hear some of the kind of how people are dealing with, you know, the various challenges or innovating and all the kind of stuff people are doing. So this is really about that. Can I just have a confirmation in the webinar chat that you can see my shared screen, just so you've got something to look at that's a bit prettier than a black space? Fantastic. So on the call with me today, I've got Craig Daly from Northern Point Solutions. Hi, Craig.
Hi, all right, mate?
Yeah, good. So we're going to kind of delve straight in because I'm conscious of people's time. So Craig, I just want to start. So so people can get a bit of an idea about who you are. Maybe just give a bit of an idea about sort of what your interests, you know, just very top level, so they can get to know you a bit better.
Interest personally or work-wise?
That's a good question, isn't it? What do you spend your time doing in the moment?
Most of my time is spent either at work or with my kids and wife. Normally walking with our dog Roger, who is a little cockapoo. Love going out at the weekends. Probably do overwork at the minute, so don't do that enough. But I'm sure other business owners are in the same position where it's hard to balance work with home life. For me, I try to make the best out of the time that I've got by trying to make memories with the kids and the wife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've got quite an interesting philosophy around that, haven't you? Do you want to talk us through that?
Yeah, well, I think for me, I think in my head, I really want to be the kind of guy that doesn't work much and is at home all the time with the kids and stuff. But when it comes to reality, I think I need to be at work to have that drive and to get the things that the kids and the wife want. I think it's great. It's great having that in my heart that I want to do that. But the actual reality of it is, I think I'd be bored in the house, and I think the kids and the wife will get sick of me with them under the feet, if I'm honest.
Yeah, excellent. Well, you know, it's great that you're sharing that, because I think it's I reckon there might be some people that might breathe a sigh of relief that, you know, there's this kind of agenda. Even I project this myself as well, because it's something is about, like, spending time with your kids and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's really important to know who you are and know the things that are the priorities, or the things that are, you know, just what is your limit or your capabilities or your focus, what gets you up, what keeps you going, all that kind of stuff. So it's really really good. So I want to get into obviously the journey. So we're going to talk about the story of, you know, growing your business to 1.4 million and then suddenly seeing that disappear overnight. And let's just start at the beginning of that. So about, obviously, pre Northern Print Solutions, what actually led you, or, you know, what's your kind of career life so far? What was that bit before that? What does it look like?
So I actually started. I started a sixth form course from school, and decided that I didn't like it. I didn't like the process of it, and I wanted to go and get a job. So I started at the very bottom on a YTS, which is a youth training scheme, back in 1995, 96-ish. Decided I really loved art. I had a great art teacher, Mrs. Wiggum, who was a real influence throughout my school years. And for a point, I thought I wanted to do something within art, but there was a guy transferred from another school at about, I must have been third or fourth year, and I realised what a good artist was then. He was absolutely amazing. I thought, yeah, that's I'm never going to be to that level, so I'm not going to get a career in that. And I decided I wanted to do something arty-ish. Went to speak to career officer. We went through all the options and said, well, why don't you try printing out? Went for a few interviews and started off with a company that was a small little backstreet company that literally had rats running through the place. But when I met with the owner at the time, he had a vision, and he shared that vision with us of moving to new premises and growing the business. And to be fair, he was really true to his word. So within a year and a half, they moved to new premises and started to get new new kit in and grow the customer database. I say we, at the time, I was running a small little printing press for half of the day, and then for the other half of the day, I was doing every bit of work that nobody else wanted to do. Yeah, that would include gardening and taking dogs for walks. To be honest, it was that kind of place. After a few years, we got took over by an investor who bought the place for quite a lot of money. And to be fair, the owner at the time sold it just the right time, and there was a lot of transition within the printing business, and the margins were coming out of it. So he got out at a good time. But the guy that came in as well had a good philosophy and wanted to invest in the company. So it grew quite quickly through that. As I say, I started off as a printer. I did a course for 5 years and became qualified. Within that time, I then started doing a bit of design work within the company, and was fortunate enough that they then decided that I could go and do some design courses on a night, paid by them. So I did that for a couple of years, worked my way through the design department to become the studio manager, and then went from the studio manager into production management. And at that point, the company was took over again by the salesperson within the company. He'd been groomed by the guy that took over and bought it back on a face buyout. It was a good opportunity for the guy, and a good opportunity for the old owner to get out of the place. And to be fair, it was good for me because when Keith took the business over, he allowed us to transition throughout the business and try different roles, which I don't think I would have got. I don't think I would have got anywhere else. So it was really good of him to allow us to go from pre-press to pre-press manager, and into production manager, into sales management, into general management. It was a good learning curve. I'd then seen how the technology was advancing within the print industry, and I wanted to go down a different route to where the company was going. I wanted to push down that route, and I got pushed back. Initially, what I did was I spoke to the owner, bought a digital press, and started servicing my existing clients through that company, marking everything up for him. And it got to the point where I was doing quite a lot of work like that.
So at this point, you're working for the company, but just
effectively working on a night time, producing additional work for that
for
company.
the fun of it, but you're not getting much of the benefit for it.
No, not at all. And it got to the point where I spoke to the owner, and he was like, if you want to go down that route, I don't think that's for us. If you want to do that, go and do it, but I don't think you'll make much money out of it.
So just pausing there a moment then. So you've gone and done extra studies outside. You've gone through various courses. You've been willing to change roles and really learn lots of different new things in lots of different roles.
Yeah.
And then you've got an opportunity where you've basically proactively gone and grown the business's revenue.
Yeah.
At this point, so do you think there's something in there about the kind of person that you are in terms of you're quite a deliberate person, you're quite proactive in that sense?
Yeah, I suppose I am. I think sometimes I get lost in what I've done, and I don't appreciate everything that I've done as well. But yeah, I do like to look for new opportunities and ways to move things forward. Sometimes too much as well.
I think there's a lot of people that will probably feel like that. They probably don't give themselves enough credit for the kind of, you're not even in a business at this point in time, yet you've already been so proactive throughout your career that you've been helping the people around you, and almost it's like you're running your own business effectively, isn't it? You kind of got that experience.
I think sometimes I need to take more time to reflect, and I'm always looking for the next project. How can we get better? How can we do this? How can we do that? I think maybe that's a downfall, whereas I'm always pushing onto the next thing. But maybe it's a good thing as well.
I think you need to have a bit of that, don't you? That sort of keeps us moving forward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got to this point now, and what led you then from getting from this point here into running your own business? So talk us through that journey. So what was that middle bit?
So I'd already had, I was probably was probably doing £3,000, £4,000 worth of work through a month through the company I was working at. And when I had the opportunity to leave, I was going to take a bank loan and buy some equipment. I'd had a look around and I knew kind of what I wanted to do. My long-term friend then sold his franchise business and said, "Would you mind if I put some money in, and we'll go as business partners?" And it was at the time it was probably a good opportunity not to take out loans and not to saddle myself with debt. So I agreed to it.
Why didn't you stay in the safety of kind of employment then? What kind of kicked you out of that position?
What led us to leave? I think it was somebody going, either stay here or go and do what you want. I think Keith said you can either stay here and do what you're doing, or you can go down this route, because I'm not going to go down that route. And I thought it was far too good an opportunity not to do it. I thought the business was going to move down that route, and that he should have gone down that route, which he did at a later time. But I thought if I didn't do it now, I'd miss the boat, and I wouldn't have that opportunity again.
That's more like the kind of digital, more upgrading technology. And
yeah.
Slightly different type of print.
It was always that the digital print side was the poorer side of print, and there was a phase of about 3 or 4 years where the technology advanced so much that you couldn't tell any different. In some cases, the digital print actually looked better than litho, and that's the way that it's continued over the last 10 years, to the point now where I think within another 5 to 10 years there probably won't be any litho presses anymore. It'll all be run through digital and inkjet nanotechnology.
Oh, so things move on quite quickly. Like I think this is probably the same for most industries, isn't it? There's always things get overrun very quickly, particularly technology-driven stuff. The same happens in accountancy. The same happens, I think, in a lot of different industries. So you've taken the jump into this new business, and did it go? Was it all guns blazing from the beginning? Was it a struggle? What happened when you started?
It was literally 100 mile an hour. I think I started the business within a few months. We were turning over £30,000 a month, then 40, then 50. I got to the point, I think I got up to about £48,000 a month. And one day I just couldn't get out of bed. If you've got to remember, I was doing the sales during the day. I was then printing it. I was then finishing it. I was doing the invoicing on a night time. I was delivering it. I was doing every single thing within the company, and I think I absolutely burned myself out. I did manage to get out of bed that day, and I did manage to get down to work. But at that point, I knew that we had to bring in additional people to the business. We then brought on a couple of apprentices just to relieve the workload, and I think slowly over the next 6 months to a year, we added more and more people. Within a year and a half, we started off in a little garage, and within a year and a half, every business partner's house, and within 6 to 8 months, we literally took over half of his house, so we needed to get out of that place. So we bought a old church hall where I used to go to boys brigade and Sunday school and stuff. It was falling down. We bought that thinking we're never ever going to fill this building, but it's too good of an opportunity not to get. Within 6 months, we had to apply for an extension to the building. And I think we've extended it 2 or 3 times now, to the point where there is literally no more room to extend.
Okay. So was it was it very gradual from there on in, or what have been your kind of ups and downs then from there to that kind of point where you got to sort of 1.4?
I think for up to about 900k, it was a really, really steep incline. And then I found it for about 2 or 3 years really hard to get to that £1 million mark. And I think that was more to do with a bit of my skill and a bit of the staffing skill that I brought on. I think at that point I knew I had to do something to develop myself. I started looking for for mentors and people to help us. Reached out to a few people and ended up joining TAB, which is it's a franchise, the Alternative Board, which
Yeah.
I got a mentor and sat on a board with other business owners, and that really helped us with the vision for the company going forward and putting a better structure in place. From there, obviously reached out to NatWest as well. Started with NatWest a couple of years later, but that really put us on the road to learning a lot more. I think I'd left a lot of stuff to other people that I shouldn't have left to other people. And I had to learn a lot myself. I had to learn a lot of stuff.
So for those who don't know, the NatWest is referring to the NatWest Entrepreneur Accelerator. It's where businesses can go and currently get support from NatWest for like mentors and coaches and things. So
I think it was important though that for me, I don't profess to know everything, and I think it's important that if I don't know something, I ask people how to do it. Otherwise, you're never going to learn. I'm not going to go into a room and say I'm the best at this or the best at that. I'd rather say I don't know what you're talking about. Can you tell us?
Yeah. Do you know what I think? Over the years, I've realised that the people that have that ability to know their limitations and be willing to kind of learn and find that support tend to be the people that do better in business, simply because you get knocked back by so many different things, and it just highlights the more the further you go in business, the more it highlights the skills you don't have.
Yeah. I still think today. Sometimes I think, oh God, I don't know what I'm doing today. but I've got a strong group of people around us now that I can go to them and say I'm feeling like this.
For most business owners, well, not most, but a lot of business owners would probably look at you and go, you're the epitome of success. You've got family, you look after yourself, you've got a business turning over £1 million. For most people, that's kind of an ideal that's somewhere off in the distance that they aim to get to. Do you think there's any insights you can give into how is it different? Is that as big a deal as people think it is? Is it what people think it is? Just talk us through that kind of experience of like going through and hitting £1 million and all that.
I think the bigger you get, the harder it becomes. I think when you start off, you're really in the thick of it, and you can have a really big influence on people because you're working with them all the time, and they can understand the mentality of you. And as you grow and as you bring more people on board, that kind of dilutes, and it becomes harder and harder to get the people that you work with to understand the vision that you've got. It doesn't matter how much you share it. It's a lot harder the bigger you get, I think.
So how do you deal with that then? What's been your strategies for dealing with that?
I've tried to bring in the right people in the right roles, and I haven't done it right over the year. I've made a lot of mistakes with staff and for instance, promoting people beyond the capabilities. It's really hard because you've got people that want to progress, but sometimes they have a capability level, and you can try and train them, and you can try and help them move on. But sometimes they get that level, and then you can't move backwards. Then it becomes really difficult to move backwards with them, and you can lose really good team members because of that. But it's catch-22. If you don't promote them, they'll resent you for not promoting them. But if you do promote them, and they haven't got the capabilities and they haven't got the skills to learn that next level, what can you do? What can you do there?
Do you think it's a factor with involving business? Then it's kind of
Yeah, but what I've learned now is that if I discover someone like that, of there's somebody that gets to that point, we'll offer them the training if they can't do it. We can offer them different roles, or we can support them to get other jobs in different. Sometimes it might be a case that they're not suited to this industry and they should be going into another industry, or they might be suited to, say, for instance, we've got pre-press guys here, and sometimes the better designers will help them to move into a design role within another company because of the connections that we've got. So I suppose it's identifying the skills of the team that you've got and trying to make the most out of it.
Wow. As an aside, Chris has mentioned that she found the NatWest scheme really good as well. I'd third of that as well. Yeah, it's a fantastic scheme.
It is.
So obviously, you know, the big question then is, it came to sort of March. In fact, let's go even before that. So, you know, COVID-19 obviously hit in March.
Yes.
Your business is flying, 1.4 million turnover. You know,
Yeah.
talk to me about like when you first found out about it and the COVID, and you know, what state were you in? What was your business like? You know, talk us through that journey.
So before COVID hit, we were investing heavily. We'd invested in a new web to print platform. We were investing in a new e-commerce platform. I had consultants in working with us, just developing sales pipelines and splitting off revenues. So we'd invested quite a lot of money, and the cash reserves were down to the lowest level they've probably been in a long time. But we knew that everything was ready to launch in April. So we're really confident that we'll claw that back quite quickly. Then obviously COVID-19 hit. I think we started talking about it in January and February and putting some stuff in place. We started looking over cash projections, seeing where we thought it would be. We obviously reduced the targets that we thought we might hit. We thought it would have an impact. Then obviously it hit, and it had an absolutely massive impact.
So before, what did you plan for in your forecast when you thought, oh, this is going to hit us? What did you think it was going to affect?
We thought we'd go down to about 70%.
Okay, so about 30% of it hit on your turnover. And what did it do?
About 93%.
So when that happened, when you realised that was happening, what was your reaction? We're on video.
First thing was just it was just what I think it took us about half a day to pull myself around. It was like a kick in the guts. I think initially you think, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with the staff? What am I going to do going forward? What have I been working for the last 10 years? I think then you reflect on stuff that you've missed in life and the sacrifices that you've made. I think I suppressed a lot of emotions as well, and I think it all came up to bubble to the surface, and then I gave myself a good shake and said, "You can sort this out. Just stop whining and get on with it." I was working with the consultants still, who was a great help. I was speaking with you as well. You were a great help, and I think we're on a few different scenarios. We had already put stuff in place with obviously cash projections. We could easily alter them for the bank. So we talked to the bank and suppliers straight away. We didn't wait. We didn't think it would come back straight away, and we wanted to make sure we're in a position going forward to have some cash there. We spoke to the staff straight away and laid all but 4 team members off.
But how many did you have before?
18.
So you had 18 staff and had to lay.
And that was a horrible experience. But what we said was we'd be monitoring what was going on in different countries, and we thought that there was going to be some scheme introduced by the government. We didn't know what it was or when it would be coming, but we thought it would be coming. And to secure your rules going forward, we're going to do this now. But we'll keep in touch every day, and we think that's something that's going to change, and luckily it did. And again, that was just down to researching and seeing what was going on around the world.
It's really interesting because, you know, you effectively had 2 months head start on COVID, and even with that, it obviously still was significantly different, but you at least had a moment to think about stuff.
Yes.
Do you think that gave you an advantage in that situation?
Definitely. I think if we hadn't gotten, I remember I think it might have been January or the start of Feb, we started introducing new procedures within the workplace for washing hands, sharing cups. We took all the cutlery out. We had the driver wearing gloves and masks and stuff like that. And the staff thought we were absolutely bonkers. I got pulled aside by a couple of them saying, "Really? Are we doing this? Really?" So it was, but but I think now, when I know now, because I've spoken to a few of them, like it's really good that you did it so quickly, because otherwise we probably wouldn't have been here. We wouldn't have been able to do what we did. We hadn't have done that. I think being on the NatWest program helped a lot. There was a lot of webinars that we could jump on, and I had a really good relationship with my business manager. Spoke to her from the very beginning, so it wasn't just a case of ringing her up one day and going, "I need a load of money." We spoke miles before what was happening. I kept on sending projections over, and I think we were the first. I know we were the first one to receive the civil loan.
That's because obviously you're planning ahead and preparing. I think the lesson I'm taking from this is that we're going to have that same change impact. It might not happen all quite as big as that, but we're going to continue to have those sorts of impactful moments over the next 6, 12, maybe even 24 months. And having that one eye on the future is a real significant advantage throughout that process, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I guess being able to, I think having less heads in as well allowed us then to make decisions that I would normally have run past a lot of people, so we could pivot and change quite quickly, and that allowed us to go after additional revenue streams that we probably wouldn't have went off after. I think we're probably done within the last 3-4 months what we would normally have taken years to do. We've obviously been working with you, changing all the finance systems, and that saved us so much. It saved us time now. So, for instance, this week Diane did a job that would normally have taken about 8 days and 3 hours.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it?
It is. So we know we've got that time going forward as the work starts building back up again. It obviously gave us the time to work on the web to print model and make sure we had all the contracts in place and the service level agreements, and just we knew how the sales process works. So when people came back, they could work to that structure. And we managed to bring quite a few new clients on board off the back of that as well.
So how much have you grown back up to now? What was in June? How are you doing in June?
In June, we are currently sitting on finishing at about anywhere from, currently we're on 70%. I'd still be happy if we did 50, 60, 70%. We're projected to do 20%. So
wow, so you're significantly ahead of where you thought you were going to be. And what's been the key thing to getting you back up to somewhere close to those levels then?
I think it's being able to adapt quite quickly. Launching the we brought forward the launch of the e-commerce site quite quickly. So we brought that forward by a month, and that's just allowed people to purchase stuff online, rather than having to go through the whole sales process. It's freed up more time for me as well. So then I've been able to concentrate on the web to print contracts with the franchises and bring on a few franchises as well.
So I'm just going to contextualize this as well. So you basically your main market pre-COVID was the hospitality industry.
Yes.
You lost that was at least 70% of your business.
Yes.
And yet now you're nearly coming close to somewhere between 50 and 70% this month you'll do of your previous revenue.
Yes.
Yet none of that is, you're not getting back the same hospitality sector. So you're actually growing your business throughout this process by that amount. And I'm assuming the expectation is that when hospitality do go back, you'll somehow be back up with your general revenue from pre-COVID times will be back there as well.
Yes, definitely. I think we're looking to have grown the business by 20-30% if we can. It's whether it's how long it takes those to come back and how many do come back as well.
Yeah. I think one really big point from that is for me is like sometimes at the moment what I've seen a lot of people do is like stop marketing, for example, or think that because their revenue is down their business isn't moving forward, but actually that all those contact points, all those new customer relationships people are making, I mean, for example, in your situation, that's gonna yes, it might not impact right now you've got a tough time, but going forward, fingers crossed, that's going to put you in a really strong position because you've just kept going and kept marketing, kept selling.
I thought it was a really good opportunity to bring new clients on board. There was a lot of companies in our industry that just closed the doors. We have contracts with the NHS anyway, so we had to stay open, and I would have kept on working anyway. I found Zoom to be a really good way of doing sales. We were of the mind frame that we had to go out and meet people, take them for a coffee, and it probably took to close a deal. Might have took 3-4 months. It's now taken us 2-3 Zoom meetings at a max over a period of a week. So it's really sped the process up, and at this time as well, I found that because a lot of staff are furloughed, there's no gatekeepers anymore. So you can talk directly with the business owner straight away to the person that's making the decisions. You can show them what product you've got and what the advantages are of using that product, and 9 times out of 10 they want to go ahead with it straight away.
So do you think there's an opportunity now, actually?
Oh, definitely. There's definitely an opportunity to get in front of the people that you normally couldn't get in front of.
Okay. Tell me a bit about the innovations, because you've obviously, since that, some of them were all kind of in the pipeline, but you've changed the timing of it and things like that. But talk to me about the innovations that you've done since COVID, then, to try and put your business into a strong position.
So we've obviously launched the e-commerce, but on the back of that, we've been doing a lot of pay-per-click trials, marketing trials, direct mail trials, so we can see what's working. We don't have to do it on a large scale. We can do it on a small scale because we don't obviously want to hit cash reserves, but we can monitor what's going on. The web to print with the multi-site businesses and franchises is it's allowed us to really drill into that, come up with new processes and add-ons for that. So we're now looking at bringing in new kits to do the uniforms, because we found that every meeting that we're having, everybody's going, but can you put this on and can you put this on? So it's allowed, it's given us a time to go and have a look and go, yeah, can we do that? You can, we've got the technology there. If we're going to be servicing that amount of clients, and yes, that makes sense. We can bring that on board.
And what about your COVID-19 range? I mean, you've been doing some very specific stuff around that as well.
Yes, we got onto that quite quickly as well. I wanted to be different to everywhere else that's just selling. It's basically off the shelf stickers. We offer free artwork for anybody that wants it, and it means that you don't have to. You can differ from everywhere else. It's on brand. It looks better, and it integrates better in with your business, and being able to get it from us online, it's hassle free. So I think we brought on maybe 40 or 50 new customers just from launching that range, and taking the headache out of buying it from somebody, because normally they'd have to go away, find somebody to do the design, and then have to come back to us, get costs. It's the prices are there. They can log on, they can upload the logo, tell where if they want any text or color changes, and it's done within a couple of days.
So I think one of the things at the moment is that kind of, as people go back to work or start going back to some sort of delivery, I can see that people are going to be wanting to, the decisions people are making need to be flexible, need to be agile. So I was quite impressed because, just the speed of turnaround at some of the things that you've done has been quite interesting. I know, and even in our business, to be honest, we've moved very, very quickly. And it seems like those businesses that move quickly are putting themselves into a really strong position. And what if you had to kind of boil down maybe one, perhaps two big learnings throughout this time? What do you think have been your biggest learnings, I suppose, or the biggest sort of things that you've taken from this?
I think I've took a lot of learning from this. I've reflected a lot about what I've done in the past and what I want to do going forward. I think the biggest one's having the right team and the right technology behind us. So I think going forward, just with the finance side of the business, you guys coming on board and sorting all out for us has removed me from that situation, and allowed me to go and innovate the business going forward rather than be sat here trawling through spreadsheets. And I think that model can then be passed on to different areas of the business. So I need somebody to come in and work alongside us for the general running of the day-to-day business, because it's stupid having me managing staff and I don't know, looking at purchasing and looking at bills and stuff like that when I can go out and bring on board 50 new clients and innovate innovative technology and innovative ways that we can bring stuff in. So
The stuff you're good at.
yeah, yeah. I think I've learned I'm more of a visionary, and it sounds like a pompous word, but I can do everything else, but it kind of holds us back from doing what I'm good at. And I think for the past few years I've been held back from doing what we're good at. And I think that's probably getting to that £900,000 mark was where I had the spare capacity to get there, and then from there my time's been took away doing other stuff, which is why we've not grown as quickly. And I think I've learned now for us to grow again, I have to assign certain things to other people.
Yeah. I think we'll bring it to a close there, Craig. That's or maybe just one more question to ask. But just in the chat, if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask Craig, please drop it in there. And I suppose my question is around, you know, if you had to give somebody else some advice for the next, 3-6 months in their business, and they're looking, perhaps they're not feeling like things are positive, what kind of advice would you be giving?
I think you've had a successful business before this, and COVID-19 has obviously come along, and that's not your fault. You'll get through, and you can get out the other side of it. Knuckle down now. Put in all the stuff that you were thinking about you want to do. Look, it's can I do this? Can I do that? How can we do this? Do it. Get it done. If it means investing in it, do the sums and work it out. But for me, now's the ideal opportunity to get all that done, ready for when everything kicks in again. And you'll be ahead of anybody else if you do that. And you can put yourself miles ahead of your competitors if you get in now rather than wait till it's too late.
Fantastic. All right, thanks, Craig. Really appreciate that. Right, thank you so much. Oh, we've got some questions. Sorry. So, how did you celebrate when you hit the goal of the £1 million? Did you celebrate?
No, because and this is something that somebody was saying to us today. Actually, as soon as I hit the figure, I want something else, and I never take time to reflect on what I've done. And I was on the phone to Kath today, who's somebody that we're working with at the minute, and I said, "Oh, I think we're going to hit 70,000 this month, but ideally for me it would have been 80, 85." And she goes, "You always do that, and you're going to have to stop doing that." You need to reflect on what you've done. You set a target of £20,000, you've exceeded that. Make sure you celebrate that, and celebrate it with the staff that are in as well, because otherwise you'll just always be aiming for that next thing. So I suppose it's a good thing and a bad thing. I always want the next level, the next. So for me, I didn't celebrate that much when I hit 1 million.
I think it's one of the paradoxes of business, isn't it? Because as business owners, we're generally goal-driven people for the most part. So, we're always looking for the next thing. But then, if you're good at being content, you're probably not good at being a business owner, because you need that drive to, the desire to move towards something and away from where you currently are, and want more, want better. Yet at the same time, that's emotionally, mentally, and whatever you say, it's not that beneficial for you, is it?
It's weird. It's weird as well. The bigger that you get, the more that it's just numbers. It's not real money. When I started the business, I remember my business partners saying, "You're saying you've done this much or this much. Wait till it just becomes numbers." And I was like, "It'll never just be numbers." But it does get to the point where it is just percentages and numbers, and I do need to reflect and think about stuff more. I think that is something I need to do.
Thanks for the question, George. Does anyone else have any more questions at all? Okay. What we'll do is I'll drop on the screen a contact details for Craig and his team. So if you want to contact Craig and his team, you can go to the website, northernprintsolutions.co.uk. Contact details on there, but also you can obviously, if it would benefit you, there's obviously print stuff on there as well. I'm sure he would love you to make a purchase if you need anything. Thanks so much, everyone, for your time today. And Craig, really appreciate your just honest, open, and sharing from your heart and stuff. So really appreciate that. Thanks very much. And
No
everyone,
bother.
will see you next week, where we're going to have Matt Sedgwick from 12 Recruitment on. Thanks very much, everyone.
Cheers. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.